respect the game.
What up, what up, what up? Welcome to Respect the Game podcast. We have a great show tonight. We're bringing in one of our great community superstars doing his thing. And let's welcome Anthony Beasley. Welcome, Anthony. How you doing today, bro?
Doing fantastic today. Glad to be here with you.
Yeah.
What's going on, Coach B?
Hey.
Hey, Anthony.
Everybody getting their shout-outs to you real quick.
Hey, that's it.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you for coming on to the show.
My pleasure.
Yeah, it was a great pleasure talking to you earlier. We want you to come on and give us some of the background of your organization and the things that you do.
Some things that you do in the community, if you can just list a few, and then we'll kind of touch on some of those.
Just a little few things.
Yeah.
Well, I'm from the Fort Wayne area, obviously, in terms of where I grew up. But right now my focus has been in establishing my own company called Apropos Consulting, which primarily deals with consulting companies and different businesses. One of the focus as it relates to being here is working with younger people in training, particularly in basketball at this particular time. So I try to offer training, mentoring, an opportunity to give them some insight on how to move from the high school level to college. But I would say probably the youngest pupil that I have right now is about 10 years old. So wherever they say they want to go, that's where I try to help them get to.
Believing in the kid's dream. I love that.
Oh, absolutely.
And then in listening to you talk and understanding your background, I mean, you're an administrator where you just started schools, you've been an athletic director, but you have your feet on the ground where you want to be in the gym and you working directly with kids. Explain, where does that come from? Most people we'll see, they may be a coach and down grassroots in the beginning, and then they graduate on up and they corporate and they separate themselves from that.
Right.
You've never been like that. Where does that come from?
I've never been concerned about anything except for helping people get the same opportunities that I had. And because I came from a kind of a background of an underdog, those are the people who always get my attention. So underdog can mean that you never had the experience or the opportunity to do it, or it's somebody that other people have quit on. Those are the people that I want to service and help.
Okay, so when you say underground, give us, I guess, a scenario of where you were in the underdog situation, or could you give us a time or something like that?
Where do I start? Let me start with junior high school. My first love for sports was football and baseball. But in the 8th grade, I was playing at one of the middle schools here in the city, and I was in the starting lineup in the 8th grade. I don't think we lost the game, as a matter of fact.
Wow.
And then when I got into 9th grade, the coach literally looked at me and said, "You're not going to be big enough for high school, so I'm not going to waste time with you."
Wow.
And didn't even give me equipment to come out and play that year.
Wow.
Your freshman year.
That would have been, it would have been our 9th grade year, because back in the olden days, middle school was 7th, 8th, and 9th grade.
What? Are you serious? 7th,
8th, and 9th grade was middle school.
So 6th grade was considered elementary still?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it sure was. So that's when I really started focusing on playing basketball. And obviously I'm still not very tall now, but I was extremely short at that particular time. So I thought that, he told me I wasn't going to be good enough for football, so I won't be able to play football. So I focused on basketball, made the 9th grade team. Didn't really know what I was doing when I went out there.
Okay.
So when I got in high school, I had to play catch up because I started playing sports late.
Okay.
And then when I got in high school, I did not play a varsity game until I was a senior in high school.
But you were on the team.
I was on the
Okay.
JV team, the sophomore team or whatever they had at that
I
time.
don't know nothing about that.
They were all starting teams, like
Okay.
a freshman team. If you had a
Okay.
freshman team,
Yeah.
it was strictly for that young group of kids that were coming in at that time.
Okay.
So that was my experience for basketball, and I had the same experience in track and also in playing football, because my last year I said I was going to go out for the football team. And when I went out, the coach said to me, "Oh, what are you going to do, quit again?" I said, "Well, I never quit before, Coach," and he didn't believe me because I had a sibling who had quit 2 years earlier. So he put me on the worst team. It was 4 levels deep for the football team.
Really?
But the truth is, by the time the season started, I was starting defensive back and second string running back behind Eddie Nolan.
Wow.
So each sport that I played in, I had to come from an underdog position, and it really made me appreciate the opportunity to try to get better and to believe in people who wanted to try to get better.
Little adversity, man.
And also, speaking of underdogs, let's talk about your time when you started your school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We started the school with 34 students, a brand new school, private Christian school, Horizon Christian Academy. And the second year we started an athletic program because I'm a firm believer that athletics has a very prominent role in keeping people connected to schools.
I agree.
There's the spirit of competition, there's the spirit of achievement, and it allows people to unify for a common goal. And I actually had both teachers and parents say, now it's a real school, now that we have sports in the school once we got it started.
But so how big was the school, I guess?
We literally had 34 kids when we started the school. The second year, we probably had about 70-some students.
So you doubled.
And kids started coming to the school. And we assembled a team from people from other schools that voluntarily came there for one reason or another, and we went 18-2 our first year.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what? I want to go back. I
That's fine.
apologize.
That's fine.
'cause
That's fine.
You got a great story about your college.
Underdog.
Being-
Yeah, and I didn't want to cut you off, but I was like, dang, he's switching topics. So you got it.
That's okay. So I didn't have a lot of people looking to play a guard that hadn't played very much in high school at 5'8", and I had, to be honest, I had one offer that looked like a good offer because I was a pretty good student. And I remember the school was Cornell University, an Ivy League school. And at that time, they didn't offer scholarships, but I wrote the coach myself.
It wasn't scholarships?
Not for Ivy League schools.
Oh,
for
wow.
a long period, Ivy League schools did not offer scholarships at all. They would give you academic scholarships.
Okay.
So the coach wrote me a letter back and invited me to come to the school. And I showed it to my present high school coach at that time. He told me he didn't think that I could do the academics and play at that level.
Was it basketball?
It was basketball.
Okay.
At Ivy League school. Didn't know any better, so I took his advice. But then a friend of my older brother, Cornelius Hill, everybody called him Button at the time, saw me playing at the infamous Weiser Park.
At the time.
Wow, outside.
He saw me playing outside at Weiser Park.
That's crazy.
And he said, "I believe you can make it at my school." And I said, "Where's your school?" He said, "Alabama A&M University." I said, "I never heard of Alabama A&M University." So he said, I'll put in a good word for you. Come on, go with me. I was his roommate for the first year.
Oh, that's what he meant by make it at his school. He was a student as well.
He was a student there already. He was number 15.
Oh, wow.
He was number 15 in the nation in scoring.
That's great.
It was a Division II school.
But
One of the best players I ever seen play. So I went down there, made the team, redshirted my first year, and then was team captain for 3 years.
Wow.
I played for Coach Ben Jobe, who was a legendary in the game of basketball, and also established a friendship with John McClendon, who was considered the father of the fast break. He's actually in the Hall of Fame 2 times as a coach and as an innovator in the game. John McClendon is known as the father of the fast break. He invented the 4 corners, and he revolutionized the game of basketball. He actually interned under Dr. Naismith, the creator of the game, at the University of Kansas.
Wow. And that's funny. I had that. I was going to ask how you got to Alabama A&M. I didn't know Button was the one.
He actually invited me to go.
Got you down there. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
good. And I know we over the hill and through the woods.
Oh, that's
I'm gonna
fine.
Go back to
That's
when
fine.
you started your school. Where did that idea come from? I mean, people don't just wake up and say, I'm going to start a school.
Right,
You know what I'm saying? What-
I had taken a job at Keystone Schools, which was formerly Fort Wayne Christian. I was actually working with Eric Vaughn asked me to come there to be his assistant coach for the basketball team. And again, I was wondering, where's Keystone Schools at? And I went there with him, And after the season was over, which we were like number 292 in number count for the state of Indiana for school size. Wow. And they had never won 10 basketball games before. So Eric is a fantastic coach. As a matter of fact, he just took a job with Mississippi University Women's College, I believe it's the Women's College, as the head coach. But we won over 10 games for the first time in the history of the school. And then he left town, and I became the head coach at that particular school. I was the dean of students, the athletic director, and the head basketball coach at that school. Then Don Willis decided, he was the kind of the primary supporter of the school. He decided that he wanted to move towards the charter schools, and he took his funding away from the school, quite frankly. So the school had to close after 3 years of the time that I was there. And I said to another employee at the school, I think we need to start another Christian school. So we decided to start another school. And we started, like I said, with 34 kids. And by the time we got into probably our 7th, 8th year, we had 3 locations and almost 700 kids.
Wow. That's interesting.
So this is a sports channel. And want to talk about the success that you had with Horizon.
Yeah, after the first year of getting started at Horizon, our kids got progressively better. I had one young man that was 6 foot tall, Keontae Jenkins, that scored 2,532 points in his high school career. We played La Lumiere 6 years. We played against Tiger Campbell, Jordan Poole, Isaiah Stewart, Jaron Jackson Jr., Keon when he was there. My kids got a chance to meet Patrick Ewing and other coaches that came in and recruited from there because we were a regular on their schedule. In 2015, we went to the Indiana State Christian Championship and finished runner-up in 2015. And then the next year, they kicked us out of the tournament because they said we were too dominant and we would wreck their whole tournament. So they literally kicked us out of the tournament.
I didn't know that was a thing.
It's not supposed to be a thing. We also got kicked out of the Huntington tournament because they had us in the Huntington tournament, and they said they was going in a different direction. But my team had become quite dominant at that time. And in 2017, we had to join a national organization, and we won the championship in 2017 at the national level at Mount Vernon University over in Ohio. 2018, we went back, and they put us in the highest division. We won the Division II. There were 5 different divisions, and we were in Division II, and we won that division in 2017. 2018, they put us in the highest division. We lost in the quarterfinals in quadruple overtime.
Wow.
Somebody threw up a three-point shot at the end of the game to win the game. But the team that we played against was from Las Vegas, and everybody on their team had signed to a Division I school. And in that year, in 2018, myself and the coach from that other team was named co-national coaches of the year.
So what did that lead your players to, I guess? Your players played against these guys that all had D1 scholarships. Were your players able to go on? And
Yeah, we had players that went on. Keontae Jenkins had an opportunity to sign at Delaware State. Sidney Curry went to John Logan, then he went to Louisville, and then he finished up this year at Grand Canyon University. I had kids who finished up at Roosevelt University in Chicago. Yuri Swinford had a very successful career there. I had kids that played at Goshen. They played at Manchester. They played at several locations and did very well at the places that they went to. So, and they're doing great as young men, and moving on with their family, which is most important.
How do you handle kids? I'm hearing your story, and yours is a story of finding a way where there's no way. And that, your perseverance. When you get, when you come across kids or parents who, play the blame game, they play the victim, and, what's some strategies? How do you handle those type of situations?
I think that's the first thing that you have to address, that the responsibility is up to you. What is it that you want to achieve? And don't blame anybody else for stopping you from getting your goals, because I think the adversity that I experienced in my own life in different areas of my life helped me to understand that you can spend all your time blaming somebody for your circumstances, but you also have the opportunity to change that direction and end up where you really our focus to go to. So I try to help eliminate any excuses that kids have not to be successful. If they're hungry, we try to find a way to help feed them. If we knew they were sleeping on the floor, we bought mattresses for them. So when they see that you genuinely care about and love them, then they respond in kind. That's been my experience, that they will respond in kind. And it doesn't just affect the kids, but it affects the whole family, because they realize that here's a person that's not asking anything for my kids except for them to give their very best.
So I know that, we talked about starting your program over there, and, the struggle that you had as far as getting teams from the community to play you.
Right.
What was that all about?
I think the issue is that when you start having some success in a particular area, people are questioning your motive and what you're trying to achieve. And what I mean by that specifically is that they think that you may have a goal to go after the kids that they have to work.
Definitely.
Go after the kids that they have available. But we never had to recruit a single kid. I mean, even when we brought in international students that were not basketball players, if they wanted to be on the team, we put them on the basketball team. So we had a JV team and a varsity team, and our goal was to help build those kids through the programs. And one of the best stories I can tell you is there was a young man that came over to us from Bishop DeWinger, and all he wanted to do was play reserve, get on the basketball team. If he could get on the reserve team, he would have been a happy young man. He was like a straight A student, but he could not get on the basketball team. He came over to us. I started him on the reserve team because that's, we wanted to see what he can do. And by the end of the season, he had played in a varsity game and scored 14 points in a credible game. Mm-hmm. And then the next year, he was on the championship team we had in 2017. Wow. He graduated, and he wrote me a letter. And he said to me, before I came to Horizon, I was apprehensive about what my future was going to be. But now, after seeing what we were able to do during the time I was at Horizon, I look forward to whatever my future is going to be. And he went to Purdue University and graduated with a computer engineering degree.
That's the most important part of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The power of sports.
And I think he works for Google now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So getting your kids to college to that next level was like your main goal? Or?
Absolutely,
Okay.
because that's what gave me the opportunity to go to school. And I couldn't have afforded to go to college, and I didn't want the bills to go to college. So I had to do something that was going to give me the opportunity, and that was basketball at that time. I did letter in track as well my first year in college.
Oh, nice.
But my primary sport was basketball, so I focused on that for the rest of the time that I was there.
Nice.
Yeah.
I knew a lot of your players, and I know one of the things that I loved about them was their character when they was in the community. That big volume of your program, it was just a good thing to see.
Yeah. Thank you.
What was some of the things that you was making a point to them as far as people are watching you, people are looking at you?
Well, just like the program that you have, Respect the Game, I told them that respect had to be a part of everything that they do, how you dress, how you talk to people. I mean, we gave them interview sessions for knowing how to talk to people when they came up and talked to them. If they needed, we wanted them to wear a suit coat, and if they didn't have one, we bought them for them. When we took them out to eat, one of the fun things for me at the time, I was in a position to do it, I would take them to a very nice place, and I would say to them, you can have whatever you want, just don't waste my money,
Right.
And it was amazing to watch these kids be respectful because they had that option, so they didn't feel like they had to take anything or act crazy. And without a doubt, anywhere we ever went, I had people coming up to me asking us what organization we were because they had never seen young people so respectful. They were clowns sometimes, which quite frankly I loved because it kept me awake sometime when I was driving them. But in the public, I love all of those kids because they were my kids.
What did you major in A&M?
Civil engineering.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I bring that up because I saw that in your resume. But everything you've done,
Yeah.
I ain't seen no civil engineer. that's why I bring that up.
How did you get to this sector? Yeah, it's like
Because I got into engineering because I had went to a program at Purdue when I was a junior called Minorities in Engineering, and which actually my wife went to the same program. My wife for 41 years, Rosita Beasley. Got to give her a shout out.
There you go.
But she was going for mechanical engineering.
Oh, nice.
So anyway, we went our junior year in high school. I didn't meet her down there, but she went to the same program.
Okay.
And so people saying minorities should get in engineering. Minorities should get in engineering. When I went to A&M, I wanted to get in biomechanical engineering because I'm into biology and stuff like that,
Nice.
and they didn't offer it. So I got in what was left. And when I got in there, I did it. When I started my internship program, I didn't want to do it, my senior year because that's not who I am.
Okay.
I like talking to people.
It is working with people though, biomechanics.
You got to draw pictures
I'm a
and check out stresses of bridges and all of that kind of stuff.
engineer.
And I love
And we
that.
listen to
I
you
love
whisper every week. Talking to people.
All right.
So I wanted to get married right out of college in '83 and come back to Fort Wayne, a place where I knew, kind of the environment. So we came back and I took my first job working as a teller at Lincoln Bank, and she took a job at Lincoln Life Insurance Company. We just kind of gradually built over the years. But I did get to use it because I started investing in real estate and different things like that. And it gave me some understanding of some of the stuff that I had to use to be successful in reconstructing houses and stuff like that. So it didn't go to total waste. And it gave me the confidence that I could do it if I wanted to get into something like that.
But this is a lot funner, right?
It's a whole lot funner.
I was going to say, everything I just heard is just letting us know God is in control.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. He's absolutely in
period.
control. Absolutely.
So what is the thing mostly that you're doing right now with the youth in the community?
Primary for me right now is training kids that come to me for training and assisting kids to get in college. We had some good success last year. I had 3 young men that actually went to the same college, Central Lakes, up in Minnesota. All were from Fort Wayne that went up there that weren't even students of mine, but I started working with at Speece or in a different environment that gave me an opportunity to put in a good word for them, and they went up there. So I'm in the process right now of doing the same thing for some other kids that I'm working with, and my goal is to just continue to enlighten kids on other opportunities other than the traditional. I believe I'm good enough for basketball, but don't know D1 schools want me. Well, they only, I think it's something like 1% of kids who play high school basketball get recruited by D1 schools. And it's really an honor just to be able to go anywhere because only about 7% of kids who play high school sports make it at any level of college on another team. So you're in an elite group just if you get accepted to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So it's a big deal.
And nowadays, I tell people the way this works, even you go to a small school, you go and you show out, you do your thing. The big school is recruiting you
That's right.
from the small schools now.
Absolutely.
So.
Because you got to consider that a lot of these international players, they're not coming from major schools. They're coming from programs that were established to teach them to be good basketball players.
Right.
So they may not even have academics attached, but they want people who can play.
Yeah. You see the big kid from Grace just signed with Colorado with Buffalo. So he was All-American at Grace, and he's going to Colorado. So.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Now, do you are you into like getting kids into college for other sports, or is it just like that basketball is your main?
I would help them with any sport
Okay.
that they asked about. If they can give me some credentials that they have that is provable, and they want me to make a call for them, then I'm gonna make a call for them because it's just a matter of, do you have the desire to push forward and show them how to push forward? Because I'll try my best to teach parents or whatever the same thing that I do for their kids so that they can make calls for themselves. Right. This ain't no top secret mission that I'm on that only I can do because I had to learn how to do it for myself. So now if somebody wants advice on how to do it, I'll give them what I have, and I'm constantly in a learning mode myself. So sometimes you just got to reach out there. as a matter of fact, everybody here probably knows Eddie Nolan. I have a cousin that has a patent on a shoe design, and it's a gym shoe actually, and it helps prevent ankle sprains. It's a company called Shadows Athletics, and we wanted to know, because we saw where Shaquille O'Neal is the president of Reebok now. Him and Allen Iverson is his vice president. So the bottom line is Eddie gave me the contact number to Shaquille O'Neal, so I reached out to him to see if he would be interested in talking. I haven't got a response yet, but it was just yesterday that I sent the information.
Nice.
But that's what it takes to push these kids forward.
That's the
If they
courage.
know that you will go after anything to get them an interview or to get a coach to look at them, or I've had kids that I tried to get Lala me, and they did go to go watch them at AAU games. And because of the relationship that I had with them, they was willing to make that trip to go look at that kid because they know what I took to them to play against them. By the way, we never beat them.
But you competed.
But it's a program that you call them to schedule your game, and they might be in Australia or China recruiting kids.
Wow.
You know.
So how can we get in contact with Coach Beasley and to get in your program?
I can give a phone number. Do you want a phone number, or how do you want to?
How you want to be
However
contacted?
you want to be contacted.
It's gonna be on-
Where
it's
you
gonna
be
at?
out there now.
It's gonna be out there.
I was just go with
Call Mike.
Call me at 999-9999.
I mean, just
No,
leave a comment
seriously.
or something.
Email.
Where you located at to where if
You could contact me through
Social media.
Anthony.Beasley 215@yahoo.com.
There we go.
Yeah.
Y'all heard it from Anthony. Coach Anthony.
Right from the bird.
And now the important stuff, though.
No, that's fine.
In your era, give us some top names that came out of high school. Who was playing back then?
John Flowers was one of the best players. He's a couple years younger than I am. You had
So your senior year, Johnny would have been.
probably
Sophomore.
2 years younger than me. He probably would have been a
Sophomore?
sophomore,
Okay.
but we were great friends. We worked out at Weiser Park together.
So
And
Herb
then
Harrison was on it.
Herb Harrison
Yeah.
would have been coming through at that time. Scotty Farrell was a pretty tough point guard that came
Jim
out at that
Masters.
time.
Ron Tabron.
Ron Tabron would have came up a year or two behind me.
So
as
who came
well.
out in your class around the city? Who was?
Tyrone Causey was a really good point guard. I mean, Tony Williams was a super point guard. He ended up at Florida State. I ran
They
into
was
him a
in
couple times.
semi-state. Didn't they go to semi-state?
They beat us in the regional finals.
Yeah,
They actually beat us in the regional final. I don't even remember Red Bud's real name, but he was like a 6'9" guy on their team. They had a Swaggart was like 6'10" on their team. Stevie Nelson was on that team. So Northside was really, really good.
Yeah, they was
Trying to think
top.
of some of the other school.
Who Concordia have?
Concordia would have had Ron Beasley at the time, coming through there at the time. He was a big time scorer coming through there.
Hardy had James Masters in there.
I think he came a little later because they had a kid named Tim Kell on the team that was their primary scorer on their team. And there was two brothers. I know the first one's name was Curtis something. I can't think of his last name. But Brian